How's everybody doing? Well, I'm starting early, it's 10:30. And today we're going to do incompatibility of signs, Aries and Sagittarius. Yes, Aries and Sagittarius. So, before we begin, I have to, let's go over the preliminaries, right? It is a cardinal fire and mutable fire. Like Aries, Aries. Fire is still fire. It's just that the intensity of this combination is not, for example, how can I say it? The forest fires that's ravaging Southern California and now Northern California, where it takes days, weeks to stop the fires from burning all the forests because if there isn't enough rain in the year and then the ground turns you know just further enough for brushes to catch fire, and then with the Santa Ana winds fueling air and fire, right? And now you have almost the entire state of Northern and Southern California are scorched. Luckily, this is something that has been occurring in that part of the United States since before the Spanish settlers came to California. Okay? Since before the Native American Indians came to that part of Western United States, you know? And nature always rejuvenates. She always comes back. So obviously, this is an aspect of nature that is not uncommon. These forests that are destroyed, they grow back and more plush and more beautiful because the earth is a living, breathing entity in itself. So when we talk about Sagittarius and Aries, we're still discussing the same principles of creation and destruction. My rainbow martini. you know, I gotta have my martini. The red, the color of my ruby, which is the stone for Aries, where my moon is, because I am truly an Aries child. Anyway, enough about me. So understand that these are procreative and destructive energies. You have cardinal and mutable. That can work. You have fire and fire. Oh, that is what makes it incompatible. When you have people of the same element, like fire, fire, earth, earth, air, air, water, water, where is the brakes for the water signs? Where is the barracks that holds the banks of the waters from entering the earth? Where are the banks in the air? If we don't have air traffic controllers up there, the planes will be crashing against each other. That's air. The same thing with the ocean. If we don't have the warning systems in place for a tsunami, then a tsunami will hit the land and destroy and kill us, and we have no warning at all. So we have siren posts in certain parts of island nations to warn against tsunamis. Woo, woo, ring, 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 ring. Now everyone is running. Everyone's scared because there's a tsunami coming along the way. Ding, 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 ding. Or it's a big sound like in Japan or in China when that was that big tsunami hit after that earthquake that happened in the middle of the Indian Ocean. You know? Sudden destructions and forces like that, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. So understand that this combination, like the Aries, really packs a punch. It really packs a punch. Oh my goodness. there is always an interference. My headset is about to break off. Ah, hold on 1 second, gentlemen. Very sorry about that, guys. Very sorry about that. It is just amazing the amount of obstacles that I go through to bring about the videos, which is why sometimes it can be exhausting just to do one video because so much has to be in place. So much has to be in place that you don't understand that if one thing is not right, it can really disrupt the production. So let's see if we have less problems now. Okay, because the devil is a liar. When you're doing something good, that's when the devil comes in to block shit and interfere stuff. So when that happens, I have to remain very calm and just get rid of the inconvenience as quickly as possible. Okay, so like I mentioned, this is a destructive force, but it's a procreative force. So why do we call it incompatibility of signs? Well, the fact that fire alone is enough to make this combination an incompatibility of signs. Okay, for a better clarity, let me explain to you the mythology between Aries and Sagittarius because their mythology is heavy. Heavy. Zeus is one of 12 Olympian gods. These Olympian gods are the same gods that we call the Yoruba. They're the same gods, just in the African continent, they're called Yoruba. And it expresses specifically for that culture. In the Samoan Islands, it's another mythology of the same 12 gods and the 7 ruling planets, like the 7 lamps. They're referring to the planets. So, the Bible is very coded, okay? So understand that Zeus is the king of the gods, but his son, he's had several sons. His firstborn son, however, was Aries. Aries was his firstborn son, the god of war. Now, here is where it gets fucked up. Zeus, according to the Western Hellenistic culture in which we were all raised and educated under, being, Americans and being part of the Western culture, the Zeus created mankind. He created man and woman in his image and his likeness, just like the Bible says in Genesis. Okay? And all the other religions and cultures, it's the same story. Just like the flood, it's found in every culture, in every race, in every doctrine, young and old. It's the same story, just cloaked in different colors and guises. Okay? So, when Jesus created mankind, and gave command to the angels to bow down to man because man is his most highest created being because man has a soul, man has spirit and consciousness, and encased in carbon matter. It's never been done before. It's unheard of. The mythology goes that Zeus took the dust from Gaia and created clay figurines, and that's how he created mankind. And then he gave breath, and then they became living beings, with personality, and all that good stuff, and hence begins the career of humanity, thanks to the god Zeus, who just chose out of nowhere to just boom create because he was bored, I guess. Unfortunately, cultural anthropologists all the world over don't quite have a clear definition as to why God decided to step out and create what we know today as creation. Why bother? Okay? And I have to talk about that because Zeus in astrology is Jupiter. And Jupiter, the planet, rules Sagittarius. And Aries is ruled by Mars, the god of war. So the mythology between Aries and Sag is that Aries is the son of Zeus. So now, let's apply that to the human personality and ego. Who's the boss? Who's the boss? Who's in charge? Well, again, this is one of those combinations. Hold on one second. They're talking to me. Hold on one second. Yes, hello. Okay, one second, please. Okay, we have another situation. So if you guys just give me one more second. Again, I cannot believe this. Okay, hopefully I have no more. I would have been able to redo this video with all these interruptions, but I want you to experience it with me because we're about to go retrograde. Mercury is about to go retrograde. And because I'm a Virgo and I have Mercury on my ascendant, I get to feel the effects of the retrograde. And most Virgos and Geminis do way before the retrograde hits. But we feel it. And when I feel it, I have technical problems, computer problems, technical issues. Again, my microphone is blinking. It's going off. And so please bear with me. These are the things that exhaust me. That sometimes I gotta do 2 or 3 takes. But you know what? I decided not to do that. You're gonna have to experience it with me. Okay? And that way, I think maybe that'll do some good, and the universe will be like, okay, let the man do what he got to do. Okay? And that's the Aries in me. That's my moon in Aries. I am relentless. I refuse to let things like this bother me. So I just do what I gotta do and keep it moving. What else am I gonna do? You can't fight the gods. Sometimes these things happen for a reason. Anyway, like I was saying, how do we ascribe what I just said about the fact that the Aries is the son of Zeus? How do we apply this mythology to the personality and ego of the couple? And I was saying that it depends. It depends on if it's a man or a woman. If we're dealing with an Aries woman and a Sagittarian man, well, the Aries woman will be very active, doing her own thing, being independent, and enjoying the Sage man's ability to comprehend and see the greater picture and be able to create fusion with his thoughts and philosophies. Because the Aries woman is deeply spiritual. A lot of people don't really talk about that about Miss Aries. And she likes to learn. The thing is that you will never know this about her because her energy is always movement, 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 and accomplishing goals and tasks. Like Miss Capricorn, that you don't really get to see her in her downtime. You don't really get to understand um, how she adapts to calmness when nothing is required of her, when she don't have to do anything. But those rare times that she can actually experience some inner calmness, she would then pause and look at her man, Mr. Sagittarius, who watches her and sometimes nods his head like, girl, why you gotta work so hard like that for? Take your time. Let life come to you. Don't go out and rush to conquer it. He looks at her and winks at her with a quiet and silent wisdom. See, because it doesn't matter if they're the same age or even if the Sag is younger man than the Aries woman being older. It doesn't matter because the energy that's inside of a soul that is incarnated as a Sagittarian is already an old soul. So whether he's young, in his prime or middle age, or in his twilight years, he's going to resonate the same divine um, sparkness of spiritual intelligence that accompanied him at birth. He's gonna be he's gonna be that enlightened being that when you look at him, it's almost like looking at Jesus Christ because of his wisdom. And not just philosophical, abstract wisdom. I'm talking about the wisdom of life, the wisdom of living, paying the bills, getting up, going to the bathroom, running out of toilet paper. He lets you kind of know. He lets you kind of know that it's not that deep. It's not that deep to relax and take time to enjoy what's in front of you and think about the bigger picture. Learn to have a trajectory of seeing the larger picture. But then again, Mr. Aries does know how to see the larger picture. He can see the larger picture. He usually does. And so does Miss Aries. So therefore, both Sagittarius and Aries have the ability to look into the future and see the outcome of their goals way before it's even put on paper. Both signs are brilliant at this. Do you want to know if your goals are going to come out true? Run your ideas to an Aries or to a Sagittarian, and they will already give a trajectory of whether that's feasible or not, in true Aries or Sagittarian style. So both these signs are quite visionary, quite idealistic. Yep. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, lofty, idealistic, buoyant, benevolent, wealthy, famous, and luxurious, well educated. Sagittarians, both the men and the women, are walking, talking embodiments of institutional learning that comes from another part of the cosmos that human beings don't have any clue. And then Aquarius, which is still higher in the human ladder or Jacob's ladder, is even more cosmic. Sagittarius symbolizes the end of our solar system, while Aquarius rules the beginning of a new one, or the emptiness of deep space and how terrifying space can be up there. The lofty energies and ambitions and um, even the fears and terrors of the night. from the night sky are all embodied in Sagittarius and Aries. So both of them can be very inspirational to each other and to those around them. So again, this is another combination that can fit the power couple combination. Sure can. Sure can. So then, how do they relate interpersonally? Well, here is why we call this incompatibility of signs. Because you have to understand that the Aries man is here to conquer and dominate. Sagittarius has already been Aries in other lifetimes. He's number 9. He's up the ladder. Aries is just beginning. It's a new soul. It's a virgin spirit. So the Aries stands to learn from the wisdom of Sagittarius, which has been around the block more than 9 times or millions of incarnations, and understands the importance of restraint, the importance of delayed gratification, the importance of allowing things to sprout on their own season. Aries is yet to learn about those principles. That's why the symbol of Aries is the ram. When the ram attacks, it goes head first. It doesn't even look where it's going. It just goes head first. Aries is like that. He goes head first and then thinks later after what he's done. There's no thought into his actions. He just like, what? And go right in. I mean, he go in. And that's why the ancients gave the ram the symbol for Aries. The head. Because, he sees nothing. Listen, when he wants his way and he sees resistance, he says, fuck you. Something turns off in him and then something else turns on. And before you know it, the ram. I mean, there's something terrifying about it. But if you see 2 rams clinking each other, it's terrifying, but it's also very beautiful. It's also very beautiful because it is nature. And there's no such thing as good versus evil because nature is both. And that's the beauty of nature, that it is both. And we also, as human beings, possess the same inherent nature. That's why I always ascribe the signs to an element of nature. Because we are made from her cloak. We are made of her dust. And sooner or later, we shall return our dust back to her cloak. And then we can go back home where we came from. Because we ain't from this bitch. Understand that for this combination to get together and be together and work together and coexist together, they have to be of higher mind and of sound spirit. And what I mean by sound spirit is that these people have to be at peace with whom they are, know whom they are, and then when the glitter of the romantic honeymoon phase of a relationship with the sex and all of that wears off, as it always does, then what else do you have to work with? What do you got to work with? Well, give me something. What you got to work with? What you got? Certainly, the Sagittarian will require that you bring something to the table. The Aries, not so much. Aries is the only sign of the zodiac that actually will not require you to bring anything to the table. It makes him that much more excited to bring everything to the table because it gives him a bigger and stronger justification to control you. Because then you become an ownership. Oh, he will never admit it. He will never admit it, neither will she. But that's what's going on. That is the hidden contract. Remember I told you about Libra? Both man and the woman, they do a contract with you. You don't even fucking know it. And then in their mind, when you break that contract, you're done. And they will justify it in their head that this was the right course of action to do. And then you don't know what the fuck going on. And we're done with part one.